Hey, welcome back. It's JWalter here. In today's video, I want to share a brand new report that was just released today, which is December 29th. This was released from the National Association of Realtors for pending home sales. This is something I look or follow on a monthly basis because pending home sales is a leading indicator about what we should expect home sales to be in the next 1 to 2 months. So with that said, let's begin today's video. And if you appreciate all these market updates, then please hit the like button. I greatly appreciate that. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into the video. So again, this is for pending home sales, and the National Association of Realtors has what's called a pending home sale index. This is a leading indicator of housing activity. It measures housing contract activity, meaning when a home buyer signs a contract with a home seller, or in other words, when an offer is accepted, and it's based on signed real estate contracts for existing single-family houses, condos, and co-ops. Because a home goes in under contract a month or two before it's ultimately sold, the pending home sale index generally leads existing home sales by a month or two. All right, so let's dive into the data here. So let me give you at a high level what they're reporting here, and then I'm going to kind of take a deep dive about what this really means for us. So contract signings fell 2.2% in November. That's a reversal of last month's increase. So compared to the prior month, contract signings dropped in all the major regions. There's 4 major regions in the US, at least according to the National Association of Realtors. Compared to 1 year ago, contract signings were 2.7% lower. So both on a month-to-month basis, as well as a year-to-year basis, they decreased. So let's have a look at this because this is kind of alarming. One would assume, oh gosh, pending contracts are decreasing both compared to last month and also 1 year ago. So maybe the housing market is shifting, maybe it's slowing. But let's look at the actual data in hand because I know a lot of you are not going to be looking at this, but I am going to take a look at this though. So this is again their index. So November is 122.4. So as you can see in October, the index actually rose. So it decreased compared to 1 month ago. And when you look at November 2020, it also decreased. So at 1 year ago, we're at 120.5. Now we're at 122.4. But what I want to look at this here is more of like long-term trends, not just what the trend is now compared to 1 month ago and 1 year ago, but the overall trend over the past year, right? So 122.4, if you look back during the entire year, we haven't reached that high of a level since October, obviously, but before that was January of 2021. So right now their index is higher than it was during the spring and summer months of this year, which is pretty remarkable. So even though we're down compared to 1 month ago and 1 year ago, when you look at overall for the entire year, we're still at elevated levels. In addition to that, here's something I also found interesting as well. So when you look at the averages over the past few years, you look at the averages here, they're all less than 112, right? So right now we're at 122.4. So even though we're down compared to last month and 1 year ago, we're still at elevated levels compared to the whole entire year, but also over the past 3 years as well. So that's my take about that. So let me know your thoughts about that in the comments below. But let me just kind of dive into what they're saying about this as well. So Lawrence Yun, who's the NAR's chief economist, he said there was less pending home sales around this time of year, which I would ascribe to low housing supply. So that's true because you would think that if inventory decreases, of course, there's going to be less options for home buyers, and that could decrease the amount of home sales and also pending home sales, right? But he also says that buyers can be hesitant about home prices. So of course, as I've been reporting, home prices have been decreasing more recently, but we're still at elevated levels, at least on a historical level. So I would guess too that there's a lot of home buyers out there who are deciding not to pull the trigger and move forward and buying a house because home prices are so high, but obviously the lack of housing supply has something to do with that as well. In my opinion, it's going to be very telling in the next several months, especially as we go into next spring. What is the temperature of the housing market? If home prices continue to soar in this spring, then obviously we're going to be in for a wild ride next year, but we'll have to see. In any case, Lawrence Yun also said, while I expect neither a price reduction nor another year of record pace price gains, the market will see more inventory in 2022, and that will help some consumers with affordability. If that's true, if inventory actually increases next year, And if rates increase a little bit as well, that's going to decrease home buyer demand, and that could make it easier for people to buy houses. We'll have to see. Yoon also says that housing demand continues to be high. He said that houses placed on the market for sale go from listed status to under contract in under 18 days. So he's saying the average days on the market is about 18 days. Of course, that's very, very quick. In the Sacramento area, I think it's around like 7 days, a little bit less than 10 days right now. So we're seeing a lot of demand here. He also said the exorbitant prices and a lack of available houses have created a much tougher buying season. So hopefully that will change next year. I'm really hoping we're going to see more houses listed for sale to give home buyers a better shot at buying a house. And of course, to potentially have buying a house being a little bit more affordable as well. So let's talk about on a regional level what we're seeing as well, because obviously not every market is different. Not every market is the same, I should say. So in the Northeast, the index actually dropped from 1 year ago by 8.5%. In the South, it also decreased by 1.3%. And then also in the West, the pending home sale index decreased by 4.6% from 1 year ago. The Midwest was the only region in the US that had an increase in their pending home sale index from 1 year ago. So that's what we see compared to a year ago. But let's have a look at what we're seeing compared to 1 month ago. So the Midwest has decreased by 6.3%. By far the biggest decrease in all the major regions that we have, because in the Northeast, it only decreased by 0.1%. The South only decreased by 0.7%. And the West decreased by 2.2%. One thing I want to point out with you guys too, this does not cover every single house that was listed and then went into pending status in the entire United States. So the index is based on a sample that covers about 40% of multiple listing service data each and every month. So this is not this covers actually a small percentage of all the houses that go into contract each and every month. So let's talk a little bit more about how each region compares to each other, because obviously every market's different as well, right? So overall, again, the index is 122.4. The last time we saw elevated levels to that was obviously in October, but before that was January. So in the Northeast, it's at 99.4. The last time we saw the index that high, again, was also in January of 2021. When you look at the Midwest market, it's 116.8. Obviously, last time we saw that was in October. But before that, it was way back in November of 2020 was the last time we had elevated levels near the levels we have right now. So way higher than, or not way higher, but significantly higher compared to the rest of the year. In the South, also the same as well, 148.2. Last time we saw that levels was, of course, back in October. And before that was way back in January of 2021. In the West, is a little bit different. So West is 105.5. That's obviously less than the South and the Midwest. But when you compare to the rest of the year, the last time we saw levels like that were October, but also in September. Before that, though, the last time we saw these levels of at least 105.5 was in December of 2020. So what do you guys think about all of this? Do you think that my analysis here is correct or not? I think that it's really important to take a look at, not just month-to-month figures and not just year-to-year figures, or year-to-year changes, because when you just do that, you just have like a small picture of the market. And so I think it's really a good idea to have a look at the overall trends and see where they're headed. So in my opinion, though, if this index or these indexes decrease all the way through the spring months, if they decrease, that's going to be a big problem. That's going to be a sign that home buyer demand is decreasing. However, if these numbers increase in the spring months, of course, that means that home buyer demand may be increasing as well. And also, in my personal opinion as well, if mortgage interest rates stay very low, right now they're around 3.25%, and they've been more or less flat over the past couple weeks. If they remain very low, and also if housing inventory also remains very low, then I expect 2022, at least for the first half of the year, is going to be a wild ride. And I think we could see more home price records being broken. However, of course, I'm not a real estate fortune teller, so time will tell. But what do you guys think about all this? Do you think I'm right regarding this analysis, or do you have anything else that you would like to add regarding it? But anyways, I appreciate your time. If you like this video, then please hit the like button. Also, consider subscribing if you haven't done so already, and hope you have an awesome day.